Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome back to Lost in the Wasteland, where I interview someone about their perspective on movies. And this week, I am joined by Kristin here, Miss Filmingo, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself and shamelessly plug all the different things she does movie related. And then we're going to talk about some movies and answer some questions.
All right, now's the time where I do my shameless plug. So, hello, everybody. My name is Kristin, also known as Miss Filmingo. You can follow me on Instagram at Miss Filmingo. You can follow me on Twitter at KFilmingo. And you can also catch me on the MacMovieReviews podcast as one of Mac's co-hosts. So, I'm happy to be here, Shane. So, thank you for having me.
Awesome. And always like meeting new people and getting to talk movies. And honestly, one of the reasons why I started my YouTube channel in the first place was to talk movies. And the irony is I've connected with much more people on Instagram than I have actually on YouTube. But there's a cool movie community. So if you're into movies and you haven't been looking around, check it out. But we're going to get things started with pretty straightforward question that I'm sure every single cinephile fan of movies has ever been asked. Kristin, what is your favorite movie?
This is the toughest question because I wake up every day with a new favorite movie. Like most of the time I say La La Land because that's like everything I love about film in one film. You know, from the music, the acting, the direction, the scoring, cinematography, like everything I love about film is in that movie. But most of the time I like films like Baby Driver. I love a good Edgar Wright movie. Forgot his name for a hot second. I love anything Quentin Tarantino, so anything like Pulp Fiction or The Hateful Eight or anything that like, you know, even Steven Spielberg and like all the major cinephiles will also say like, you know, I like, you know, The Godfather and I love The Godfather. So anything like, you know, that will really capture my interest, I guess. So like, and the other thing is it's like, asking the question, what's your favorite genre? And I'm just like, I don't have a favorite genre. You got to keep me interested with a good story, a good cast, a good premise, everything like, you know, that makes my check mark list. And then I'm sure I'm going to like it.
That's awesome. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that again when I actually ask that question. But in terms of La La Land, that was one of my favorite films that year that it came out. And that movie blew me away.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Damien Chazelle is a fantastic and talented director. And I have a personal soft spot for Crazy Stupid Love. So
I love that movie. Don't get me started on that movie.
Seeing Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone together again in pretty, well, it's like, I feel like Ryan Gosling has a couple of different Ryan Goslings he plays.
Yeah.
And definitely Jacob from Crazy Stupid Love is one of them.
Yeah.
But like, I just love La La Land and the music, and it's just a beautiful film and just takes you for a ride. And it kind of won Best Picture.
For a hot second.
For a hot second.
Like 30 seconds, and then it's like, nope, the world's crashing down. I'll never forget that night when they announced the wrong winner. I was so happy, like on the hype of the La La Land train. It was like, do you like La La Land or Moonlight? And I was like, La La Land, hands down. I saw it 3 times in theaters. And then I was like, all right, it's Oscar night. Give it to La La Land. And then they say Moonlight. And I was like, not Moonlight, La La Land. And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like cheering, going excited. And my dad's like, calm down. And I'm trying to go to bed. I'm like, all right, I have to celebrate. It's La La Land. And then that whole moment, it's like Moonlight won. And I just remember almost dropping to the floor and just being like, what do you mean Moonlight won?
Thanks, Warren Beatty. Like,
exactly.
It's all his fault. He knew it was wrong, and he still let fate.
I just think that he got confused knowing that they had the wrong envelope, and it was like, you know, and, you know, Faith Dunaway is just standing there. She just didn't even, like, the fact that you didn't read the envelope to assume you had the right one, it's like, you double check and it says Emma Stone. That's where you're like, wait, Emma Stone just won. You just go up and you yell, this is the wrong envelope.
Emma Stone won Best Picture. Like, just hands down.
Just for performance and for Best Picture, nothing else.
Oh, man. And It's interesting because you bring up like Tarantino, and I'm sure like if anybody's watched half of the things that I've done with my friends Matt and Alex on my YouTube channel, Tarantino comes up all the time.
Oh yeah.
Two of them are huge Tarantino fans, and I'm acting like I'm not. But I'm a huge Tarantino fan as well. I just don't love it as much as both of them. And it's interesting you brought up The Godfather too, because I saw that when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
My grandfather showed me it and told my mom I had to watch it because it was my heritage.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's what happens when you're an Italian American in New Jersey and you have
Hey, same. So we can relate to that. But I saw The Godfather like when I was in high school.
Yeah, I was 10. Probably not the best thing to be showing a 10-year-old, but you know.
You could be shown worse. I've watched weird stuff with my parents when I was 10 years old. I can't even begin to tell you what I watched with them.
Well, and it's like my mom got upset because it's like you see Apollonia naked and it's just like you get upset about that. But then Sonny gets shot with like 8 Tommy guns and just gets riddled with bullets. But that's not as bad. And I'm just like, okay, this makes a whole lot of sense. But Godfather's a special place in my heart, watching that with my grandfather. Italian people.
Yeah, and here's a fun story. I should tell you this. This is new to anybody who has, come across my Instagram or internet life. When I was a senior in high school, it was like 2014, and it was the year, no, I shouldn't say 2014. It was 2013, given the release. The Wolf of Wall Street came out. So on New Year's Eve, my parents, a friend of mine, and my sister, who was only like 13 at the time, went to go see Wolf on Wall Street in theaters. So you could imagine the stuff that goes on in Wolf on Wall Street. I'm sure you have seen it, and so many other cinephiles have seen it, and they're like, oh, it's great. I have scarring memories watching Wolf on Wall Street with my parents. Like that scene when I think it was Leonardo DiCaprio snorting cocaine off a girl's butt. I was just like, wait, I can't be here with my parents right now. What's going on?
Definitely my second round of bringing people back to Lost in the Wasteland. One of those questions will be, what is the most awkward moment you've had watching a movie with your parents? Because that is such a fun question. And I definitely have some of my own.
Yeah, that tops one of them. I've had weird, but the most memorable one was Wolf on Wall Street.
I remember seeing that in college when that and American Hustle came out in like the same week. And that's just 3 hours of complete insanity.
Yeah.
And the fact that some people cheered watching that movie, I'm just like, business people.
Yeah. Which is Jordan Belfort, let's put it on that.
The craziest thing, he's in the movie. Like, he's the guy at the end of the movie who introduces Leo after he gets out of prison. I'm just like, that tells a lot that this guy is still out there just doing whatever after all of the things that he did.
It's nuts. It's a wild ride, I will say, for that. And given the fact, I said like Martin Scorsese is a director I love. I think that, he's made better films, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and like, boy, is it a ride, though, all 3 hours of it. Now, we've kind of talked a little bit about this, but Kristin, what's one of your earliest memories of going to the movies?
My earliest memory had to be when I was about 3 years old, and I'm sure you probably grew up with this, with the Disney Winnie the Pooh movies.
Oh.
So I was, like I said, I was 3. My dad's dad, who I called my papa, took me to my very first movie, and it was the Tigger movie. So I have fond memories of that. So I remember like holding his hand, and he's giving me my ticket, and I go in the theater, and I remember watching certain scenes of Winnie the Pooh and this Tigger movie, and I'm just like, wow, I really like going to the movies. And then I have like some really great memories. Most of them were all seeing like Disney films on the big screen. So like I remember seeing like Lilo and Stitch, which I have an extreme passion for, and The Incredibles, and what else? It had to be like other like not great Disney movies like The Shaggy Dog. I remember seeing in theaters with the Tim Allen version. I should point that out. And like Eight Below with Paul Walker. May he rest in peace. But it's like I grew up around film, and my parents never really pushed it on me, but I always found myself gravitated towards it. Even with my papa, like he used to like show me like Pretty Woman when I was only like, similar to you with The Godfather, I was probably about 10 years old when I saw Pretty Woman, and watching Wizard of Oz constantly. So film has been around me all my life, even though I don't have a particular person in my life to say, yeah, this is like cool stuff, to point out to me like different things in film. I grew to love it myself, just watching certain films over and over and over again.
That's awesome. And I definitely, like, a lot of the people that I've interviewed for this can definitely relate that Disney was probably a big part of growing up and watching Disney movies. And I'm trying to think of what the first Disney movie that I saw in theaters. And like, obviously there's a lot of animated, like I remember seeing Shrek in theaters.
Oh, that's classic.
And like my first movie I remember seeing in theaters was Space Jam.
Oh, that's awesome though. That's a fun watch though. That's like a really great watch. That's like over the summer there was like a couple drive-ins where I was going to, and the screen next to me was playing Space Jam. So I was like, all right.
When I was at a drive-in over this, this was probably September, October-ish, I got to see Toy Story.
Oh, that's cute though.
And then watched War with Grandpa right after. And I'm just like, Robert De Niro, you're trying so hard. This movie doesn't deserve you.
I didn't see War with Grandpa. Given the fact that, drive-ins were around given COVID, what did I see? I saw Palm Springs.
Oh, that must
drive-in.
Because I watched that on Hulu over the summer. I'm like, I would have enjoyed seeing that in a theater.
Oh, seeing it at a drive-in was like probably one of the coolest experiences given the setting I was in, and just the fact that, the setting of the film, it felt like very in tune. Like this would have been a really good theater experience. Because I watched some clips of the film when like it was released on Hulu, and I was just like, no, the seeing it at a drive-in elevated my experience. And then what else did I see? We saw The Invisible Man at a drive-in. That was kind of cool. And then I saw Unhinged. And then I saw Bill and Ted.
Unhinged was actually the first one that I saw at the drive-in. I'm like, I'm watching a road rage movie at a drive-in.
It's kind of a perfect way to watch it,
It was very fitting. And no, I would not want to cross Russell Crowe on the road in his big truck. And he was intimidating.
It was a very popcorn related film for a thriller for, given for a general audience. It was fun. It was a little like over the top of itself. I think that's what the film wanted it to be, but it was a good, fine film. I mean, no, isn't like Martin Scorsese worthy, or like a film that I could be like, yeah, let's watch this again. It's just a fine film. It's like, yeah.
It's like I watched it. I got some fun out of it. And I got to see a movie. That was the biggest thing. At that point in August, I'm just like, I got to see a movie. Now, Ari alluded to this question, and you already shared your answer. It's like, what's your favorite genre? It's just like, it really depends on it. And that's understandable. There's a lot of people that I've talked to on this that it's just like they don't have a particular genre that they like. And the nice thing is this is my show, so I can make up the rules. So in terms of what you brought up about, it really depends on the story and making sure that it like grabs you and interests you. And especially from like what you were talking about in terms of like some of your favorite films, that's definitely a variety, because Tarantino and Scorsese don't go out and make musicals.
Or they don't make rom-coms. They're like, hey, let's get Renee Zellweger and Hugh Grant together and let's make a bloody rom-com.
You know what? I do want to see Hugh Grant in a Tarantino movie at this point.
That's not a bad idea now that you say that.
Hugh Grant has reinvented himself after years and years of just being pretty boy British man in rom-coms.
I really liked him in The Gentleman.
He's like, come play with me, Raymond.
Yeah.
And he had such a his role was so important because he basically told the whole movie.
Yeah.
You know, like if that didn't work, then the whole movie would have fell apart. But he's so great, and have to shamelessly plug Paddington 2 on here because everybody needs to watch Paddington. And him as Phoenix Buchanan should have got an Oscar nomination. I don't even care. Really should have, because he was that delightful and so much fun.
I do have to see Paddington 2. It's been on my watch list for a while. I just need to watch it. I remember watching Paddington with a couple friends of mine, and we all really enjoyed the first one. And it was at the same time when the sequel was being released. I just never got the chance to see it in theaters.
And what was so sad, it got like dropped in the US in like the middle of January, when like most of the time it's
Oscar stuff.
It's either Oscar stuff or dumping crap. Because they're just like, well, we don't have any faith in this. Let's drop it in January.
Yeah.
Which, to quote the lovely people at Red Letter Media, F you, it's January. And it's just like a giant flaming pile of trash. Because honestly, Januaries feel that way.
However, January hasn't been that bad. I mean, I feel like we've just gotten, the standard stuff, Oscar stuff. We haven't seen anything too bad, but I don't know how it's going to go this weekend, given Rami Malek's new film. So
I
hope it's good.
I am too, and because there's a lot of talent in that film.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, Denzel's in this, Jared Leto's in this, and I'm just like, I'm honestly hoping it's so interesting at this point because it's like we're not getting a whole lot of big releases anymore.
No, we're not.
Like, every couple of weeks something drops. And I even remember everybody talking about at the end of December, it's like once March hits in 2021, things are going to be crazy. We're going to be getting this and this and this and this and this. And then over the past week, everything's just been like, move to October.
Yeah.
September. And basically what we have is, what is it? The little things?
The little things. We got the Godzilla coming out. We
have Barb and Star.
Yeah.
Coming out for Valentine's Day.
The World to Come, which is Bleecker Street, which that's fine. I'll watch that. So and then plenty of other stuff. I think that's like indie related, which I think has been also great. Just to bring up a different note, is that the COVID has shut down everything. It's been a great time for indie filmmakers to release their stuff.
Yeah.
Just about anywhere. Like streaming services have been buying the rights to so many smaller films. I mean, Focus Features nailed it out of the park, I think, last year, because they released so many features between, they had its run with Emma, and then they released, Promising Young Woman and Let 'Em Go and Kajillionaire and so many other really great films that I really enjoyed. And, that were all independent features. It was all pretty standard. Even IFC did really good, even when it came to like the drive and stuff, because they were showing The Relic and The Wreck-It, or I think it was called that. I don't remember. Some witch monster movie.
Relic messed me up.
Yeah, that's the one.
Relic messed me up. No, so I don't do very well with horror movies. They get
okay.
bad.
See, that's one of my like all-time favorite genres. I'll watch horror any day.
Well, look at that. We got an answer to that question, which I have grown to appreciate really good horror movies. It's just I'm a big baby and they scare me. But like Relic, I remember The Wicked. That was a fun little film that came out, like kind of a mix of like a YA coming of age summer film and a horror movie.
Yeah.
And there's some really solid, creepy, unnerving horror movies. And A24, St. Maud's finally coming out.
Yeah, thank goodness. That's gonna be, I think it's gonna be released in theaters. I think select theaters this week. And that was a film I was really looking forward to last year. And then it'll be like on demand. And I'm just like, I wanted to see this in theaters, you know.
One film that the trailer blew me away that I've been anxiously awaiting was A24's The Green Knight.
Me too. That was one I was really hoping for. And then, I see them advertising it for a board game. I'm like, wait, what? Don't advertise a board game. Bring out the movie, please.
Apparently, it has a July release date as of right now. And
okay.
I'm like,
so let's keep our fingers crossed.
Keep your fingers crossed. Now, Kristin, I know you brought up a couple of filmmakers, but do you have any particular ones that it's just like they're some of your favorites? If they have a new film out, you have to see it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Someone like Sofia Coppola is like one that I grew a fond appreciation to. Like when I was a freshman in high school, like really trying to figure out what I want to do with my life and my career. Sofia Coppola's like Lost in Translation and The Bling Ring always like, really got into my interests.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, when she released, On the Rocks last year with, Apple and A24, I couldn't see it. So eventually I was able to see it. I was able to like sneak my way with a little screener, and I was like so happy. And I was like, man, I wish I saw this opening weekend. But I'm like hoping with, everything is open again. She has a new film. So I'll be seeing Sofia Coppola like first week, in a theater kind of vibe. I'm the same way when it comes to like, of course, like Tarantino, Scorsese, who else? David O. Russell. I love David O. Russell.
Kind of disappeared for a little while.
Yeah, and now he's coming back with whatchamacallit. I think is it Rami Malek for the new movie? I think it is.
I saw the list of people that are supposed to be in his new movie. I'm just like, holy crap.
I love David O. Russell, and knowing his last film was like Joy, it just made me disappointed because I was just like hungry for something else.
I was like okay with Joy. I didn't love it, but like coming off of Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle, which I saw both of those in theaters. I loved those films, and I was so excited for more. And then I know he's not exactly the easiest to work with, apparently. Just ask George Clooney, who punched him in the face.
Yeah.
But he makes some great films. And like people just give Martin Scorsese money so he can make his movies, please.
Yeah, like, they're just like, he just needs money at this point. And then like, what other people do I like? I love the Russo brothers. I know he's in some hot water given, Warner Brothers and Justice League. Josh Whedon, I grew up with Josh Whedon. I don't know if you know Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
So I was introduced to that by a significant other one, like a few years ago, and I'm like, this is a fun show.
It's great. It's not appreciated as much, and I wish I wish for the sequel to come out so badly because it's due for a sequel. I think it would be a fun like TV event or like a YouTube event or something because it was developed in that internet stage, where it was released in parts, like those 3 parts where you tuned back in every week. And I watched it with, I went to some kind of event and I met up with some friends, and the movie they were showing was Dr. Horrible. And they did the original version and then they did the commentary version. And the commentary version is a lot of fun just to watch. Like the Dr. Horrible is just fun to like watch it episodically, but when you watch the commentary, it's just fun to sing along because I love the songs that are in that commentary feature.
It's a fun time, and like Neil Patrick Harris, Nathan Fillion, especially because of like Firefly and Serenity and stuff like that. Like Nathan Fillion's so great.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun.
And it was like for when it was made for on a small budget, and he just made it with his friends. It was awesome.
Just a fun time.
Yeah.
Now, do you have particular favorite actor and actress?
The queen herself, which is Emma Stone. I watch anything with Bradley Cooper. I grew up with people like Zac Efron. So watching films that he's been in. I love anything Mark Wahlberg. I love anything like Denzel Washington. And, you know, I fangirl over Selena Gomez. So, you know, I watched her in like anything, like growing up, like anything in the Disney phases and like early like Nickelodeon phases, because that's the time like I grew up in. Like any of those stars is like something like I'll gravitate towards and I'll check them out, whatever it's in. And then like, who else do I watch? Even people like around me now, like I'll watch something in Bryan Cranston, you know, just to mention like people like I watch anything. I have fans for like in different appreciations for people who I'm going to watch them in. If it's something like, let me think, like Bradley Cooper is going to be in a drama. I know he's going to be like really good in that drama. So I know like I'll like really like him in that more than like in, you know, a Marvel movie, even though I love him in Marvel movies.
Get to just listen to him being a very, very angry and cantankerous little
raccoon.
Raccoon.
He's great. I wish he gets more comedy roles like that because, you know, he grew up, not he grew up, but he was like in, you know, Wedding Crashers and, you know, stupid other comedies. I mean, you know, like Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's not Forgetting Sarah Marshall. What is it? All About Steve. Oh my God, that movie's horrible, but you know, it's where we get to see like Bradley Cooper do like those stupid rom-coms, and I still like him in those.
It's interesting. So like first getting back to Zac Efron, it's like obviously for people our age, it's just like High School Musical.
Oh yeah.
And I remember seeing The Lucky One opening night with some of my female friends in college. So that was an experience.
Oh, I saw that in theaters and I was so disappointed because I loved Nicholas Sparks books when I was in high school. I was that stereotypical girl. And I remember watching it. I was like, dang, the book is better.
And well, like I hadn't read the book or anything, but I'm just like, well, abs. That's basically what I'm getting at.
It was just like getting into that phase of like, yeah, I'm adult.
Well, and then I saw Neighbors.
That's so funny.
Blown away. I'm just like, my God, Zac Efron's really funny. And then I would be so happy when they cast Fantastic Four, and if he's Johnny Storm.
That would actually be a really cool kind of casting choice. I could see that.
Happy about that. And Bradley Cooper, I go way, way back with, because I watched Alias with my mom when it was still on TV. And Bradley Cooper was from that. And like, he even has such a good relationship with J.J. Abrams that like he voice cameoed in like 10 Cloverfield Lane because that was like stuff like that. And like Bradley Cooper is extremely talented. His work with David O. Russell between Silver Linings Playbook and having like grown up 10 minutes across the river from Philadelphia, like that film hit a lot for me.
It's such a good film, and I love the location that they did it in. It's like a homey film for what it is. You can tell there's so much heart and passion in that film.
And growing up in like a hometown where it's like everybody's an Eagles fan, that hits like a whole different other level, even though they all hated me because I love the Giants.
I was just going to ask you that since you were on the border of that.
Well, the thing is, like, I grew up 10 minutes from Philadelphia, like right across the river in New Jersey. And I'm just like, this kid, since he was in second grade, loved the Giants. And they did not like me. But like growing up in Eagles country, that movie is so accurate about Eagles fans. And between that and like A Star Is Born, that's just
oh God, that's like one of my favorite movies that came out in like 2018. That was like my like favorite. He really made me cry in that movie. I was just bawling my eyes out.
But I believe you had a thought there when we were talking about Philadelphia Eagles fans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, since you're on the border, are you a Philadelphia fan or, you know, of the, you know, Eagles or a Giants fan? I mean, I'm a Giants fan given my family, so that answers my question I had to you.
I grew up in a very interesting household because my brother is a diehard Eagles fan, like diehard.
Okay.
And my mom was a Cowboys fan.
Oh, wow.
And I'm a Giants fan. So just basically everybody except for Washington. And look at the irony.
You know,
They
right?
lost their name and won a division full of like trash.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting year to be a football fan. And look, Tom Brady's getting his 10th Super Bowl appearance. So
Yeah, 1 billionth, I should say, if you really want to over exaggerate it.
my God. So what movie, Kristen, do you feel like you could watch literally every day?
Ooh. Um, that's a really good question. I do, like I say, like when someone asks me what is my favorite movie, one movie I could watch every day is I'm actually going to change it up because I've been doing this a lot lately. I've been watching like a lot of TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I've been watching like every single day is Friends. I grew up with Friends. I have it on in the background as I'm doing work. And all I hear is like, TBS is playing Friends today. So I'm like, okay, I love and read that. But for film wise, I should say, probably something Disney related since I did grow up with Disney and that just makes me happy. Probably like The Parent Trap because I used to watch that movie a lot. And I'm talking the Lindsay Lohan version because there was a point in my life where I did watch that movie like every day. Like I think my mom ended up picking me up a copy of it because it was like on sale for like $5 at Walmart. And she's like, I know you love this movie. Here you go. And it was the time of like when DVD players were the hype.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would watch it over and over and over again. And I still have the DVD to this day. And
Awesome.
I'm just like, yeah, I never get tired of it because it's like good performances all around. It's just a feel good kind of comedy and just a family movie because that's what something you kind of watch now. I want to watch something warm given now time period that we're in.
Yeah.
I mean, I love watching like, Reservoir Dogs and all that other blades of guns and all that stuff, like anything, dramatic or anything. But I'm like, I always want something, that comfort feeling. So
I watched The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan quite a few times as a kid. So
yeah.
I remember watching that a lot. And it's interesting that you bring up Friends because I had never watched Friends before up until like the past couple months. And my girlfriend would just watch it over. And she's one of those people that would just have either The Office, Parks and Rec, or Friends on in the background.
That's what you have to do.
And so we're watching it together.
Yeah.
And we literally have 7 episodes left.
Oh gosh.
So I have a lot of fresh feelings and thoughts about Friends.
Okay, so that's a separate discussion that we need to have.
Because like when I was growing up, like I always used to watch, like it's funny you brought up TBS because like I would watch like Home Improvement and Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Those were my shows when I came home. And I had never watched Friends though. And now watching it, because it's like, not to get off on too much of a tangent, but who's your favorite friend?
Oh gosh, I have so many favorites. I feel like people will gravitate, like will relate me more towards Phoebe because I'm just like that kind of like, she's not the greatest singer. I'm not the greatest singer. She's funny. She's kind of quirky and, a little bit dorky. She's, got all those vibes and I'm just like, I can vibe with that. And I see myself in Phoebe sometimes. So I feel like, probably Phoebe, but I do have like, I do love Joey. I love Ross. I love Chandler. I love them all. They're so great. I can just watch them for hours. But don't get me started on the HBO special that's going to come out. I'm just kind of hesitant how that's going to be.
Well, because like I'm watching it all on HBO Max and Phoebe's a wild card.
She's a hoot.
She's tough too. She'll mess your day up if you get on the wrong side of her. And I'm just like, Phoebe's awesome.
Yeah.
And Joey's probably my favorite.
Joey is Joey. You have to watch the series, the spin-off series that he was in, the Joey series. And I was just like, I haven't seen full episodes, but I'm just like, why do they give him his own show? It doesn't work without all of his friends in it.
Yeah, and it's just, I just watched this shortly before coming on here. It's like, Joey doesn't share food.
Yes.
That whole episode, I'm just like, why would you reach over and start eating his food?
Oh, that.
And I'm like, why would you do that? And then at the end of the episode, Ross just starts eating his muffin and just like, what's wrong with you?
And then it's like the one where Ross is getting that award, and he comes in dressed in like all of Chandler's clothes. It's like, can I be any more Chandler? And then he's standing there.
Like, Joey's just so much fun, and he's very much him. It's just like, there's no compromising. It's like, he loves to eat. He's very Italian. And it's just, I find it really relatable. I'm definitely not the same kind of person when it comes to relationships and stuff like that. My brother.
Okay.
But like, it's just funny. And I have to say one thing though. I hate Ross.
Ross is just like the moody dweeb friend that would bring like cloudiness on a rainy day. Sometimes I like to see him as Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, because like he'll just come in with something like depressing, and it's like,
like, I feel like he's a jerk like a lot of the time, and I'm just like, a lot of these things is because you're being a jerk and I don't like you. And the worst part is he's like, because like I try to think of like who I'd most relate to out of the male characters on Friends, and I'm just like, I feel like I do have a lot of similarities with Ross, except I go about my life in a very different way.
Yeah.
He's really whiny and complains about everything.
Oh yeah.
And like sometimes he's right. They were on a break.
Yeah.
And how many times that came back.
We were on a break. And I love one of my favorite Ross moments is the couch pivot. That will always be one of my favorite Ross moments. Like, that's just pure gold, I think.
I feel like the moment that I lost it the most, and this is because of meme culture, 100%, is the moment you finally saw the Joey moment where he just like sings like, ha, and then he makes that realization, I'm not going to spoil what, even though it's like, it's a 20-year-old show at this point.
Yeah.
I got a lot of things spoiled for me for Friends before I watched it, but I'm still enjoying it quite a bit.
That's what matters.
But that's enough about Friends. Now, Kristin, what's a film that you feel like you have a connection to because it relates to another interest of yours?
Okay, this is actually a really hard question, because I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, something, it has to be something related to art, because whenever, like in my downtime, I do some artwork every once in a while. So I'm trying to think what film does like inspire that. And I don't really have like that connection, unless I think maybe a better way to say it. I think one thing is spending time with a lot of my family. Mm-hmm. So most recently, like Sofia Coppola's On the Rocks, the father and daughter relationship. I mean, my parents aren't divorced, lucky to grow up with that. And in the movie, Bill Murray and, I forgot who the other actress was.
Rashida Jones?
No, not Rashida Jones, the one that Bill Murray was married to. What was her name? I can't think of it. But the father and daughter relationship in that movie, warmed my heart, and I felt like I had a connection to that. So that's like one film. So.
And I can understand that too. And it's just like, I really like this question a lot. And because it's probably the one that gets everybody thinking the most. Because it's like, how many times do you really think about, like, I love this movie because it's like, I have an interest that this movie really hits on. And I could definitely relate to the family thing. And one thing that was really interesting was when I watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just sitting there like, they could just replace this with My Big Fat Italian Wedding.
Yeah, I mean.
And just change all the Nicks to Josephs or Tonys. And basically be the same movie.
Same thing. Let's see. And that's like, let me think. Another way is that like speaking of Silver Linings Playbook, to bring that up again, like to bring up the dysfunctional family, and like, you know, nothing in like in that film is like craziness household, but I think it's the bondness of that film also kind of related towards like my family and how disconnected they are. And, you know, just my parents are older. So given that, you know, the parents in that movie are also older, so I was able to relate to that. You know, that film has a big heart spot for me in that. But yeah, that's a really hard question. I really like that question.
Well, thank you. I've gotten some very interesting answers, because like I've been doing this now I started this in early October.
Okay.
So it's been very interesting. And like I started with my girlfriend and then my brother, and then have expanded out to some of the writers from Sif Pop. And like, this is one of a few of them where it's just like, this is our first time meeting, like face to face. Over the course of Zoom, and like having like my first conversations with people doing something like this. And it's really interesting, and hearing people's different perspectives. And I find it interesting, like connecting things. And like, obviously I think about these questions when I'm sitting there. And like, when I was thinking about this, like, I always love to read, and like stuff like remembering back to like The Page Master, and thinking about like getting lost in an actual book or something like that. And especially a lot of documentaries popped into my mind, because it's like,
oh, interesting,
because it's like they're about certain things. And like, even just in 2020, watching Booksellers, which was about like the New York used like bookstore community and stuff like that, was interesting. And I love me some rock documentaries and stuff like that. And
so I'm sure you watched Zappa recently.
I did.
Yeah.
That was very interesting, because I grew up listening to a lot of classic rock music, and still like that's primarily what I listen to. That's some of my favorite music. Never really was got into Zappa, but watching that documentary, is such an interesting guy. And like those kinds of things. And like, I loved the HBO documentary about the Bee Gees. Ate that up.
I didn't get to see that because I don't have HBO, but I heard some really good things about it.
My review for that is one of my most successful reviews on YouTube.
Well, that's awesome though.
And it has so many comments. It's like, it's so interesting, because like, my biggest fan of my YouTube channel is my mother. And like, she watches like all my videos and stuff like that. And it's very interesting reviewing things that hit to like that generation, because like my mom's, not gonna say how old my mom is because she'll get mad at me, but like, she graduated high school in the 70s, so like she grew up at that time. And like Bee Gees, like so many people commented on my video and wanted to have conversations about this. I'm like, and so many people were angry. They're like, they didn't spend this much time on this part of the Bee Gees career, this part of the Bee Gees career. I'm like, it's a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
They made music for like decades. It's kind of hard to balance, but it's interesting. You have some of those reviews that just hit it. Like, I reviewed a documentary about aliens, and somehow that has like 2,000 views on my YouTube
That's
channel.
Crazy.
Like, people must love aliens.
Yeah, there is that like alien abduction community that's prevalent out there. I mean, I don't go to that side of the internet, but it's very, very big. A lot of those celebrities that we talk about or mention have their weird encounters with aliens.
Indeed. Now, who's a movie character that you feel like you connect with on a personal level?
Okay. So one of them would have to be one of them, since I'm a huge Lilo and Stitch fan, would have to be Lilo herself.
Aww.
Because I grew up kind of like the outside kind of girl. You know, I was into my girly stuff, and then I had, you know, stuff I was into like Lilo. And, you know, what really connected me to that character was her bond and love for Stitch. And I grew up with dogs constantly in my life, and my dogs were my friend. And, you know, I would come home and, you know, my dog would just be waiting for me. So taking, you know, my dog get on adventures like Lilo did, and like, you know, having that bondness and like having that other person around that wasn't human. I connected with Lilo, and, you know, just like not having as many, that big friend group like, you know, her arch nemesis has in the movie. It's just like, yeah, that was me too. I dealt with mean girls and, you know, mean kids. So just to be able to relate to that, and, you know, having that friend, like I said, where you can come home, or I could come home to, it was like a character that I really connected with.
I really appreciate your answer, Kristin. That was really sweet.
Thank you.
And like, if I'm gonna admit something, because like I was afraid of dogs most of my life. It actually took me dog sitting my neighbor's dog for me to get over being afraid of dogs. But like I always had cats, and I always
Okay.
played with my cat. Like I would come home and my cat would be waiting there at the door and would like start jumping up and headbutting me right when I walked in.
That's so cute though.
I'm like, I have a dog for a cat. Except like 3 o'clock in the morning, she was hungry, stand on the side of your head and meow in your face.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I could definitely relate to having that special bond. Now, the thing is, did you listen to a lot of Elvis music with your dog?
Oh no. My friend did. I have a very close friend of mine who like grew up with Elvis culture. She used to dress up as Elvis every time for Halloween. We used to go trick-or-treating all the time. But guess maybe that aspect, but no, not really. But I do have an appreciation for the soundtrack though. Mm-hmm. So I did listen to all those Elvis songs that were in the movie. Never really listened to anything outside of Elvis, but the ones that are in Lilo and Stitch, like Can't Help Falling in Love, and, you know, what Hound Dog and all that stuff, like I love those songs.
Yeah, like Devil in Disguise.
Yeah, that's
I recall being like really used very well in that movie, which makes a lot of sense because Stitch is a little jerk and like hiding out and everything, which was interesting because I remember going on my senior trip in my senior year of high school and going to Disney World, and
that's fun. I wish I did that for my high school.
They replaced that alien ride with Stitch. And like Stitch would hop around and fart on you and stuff like that. And it's interesting because like I never watched that particular Disney movie a lot growing up, but my girlfriend loves it. So I definitely watched it more since we had been together. And it's a really sweet movie. And of course, they're probably going to remake it.
Yeah, they are. And I'm just like, oh no, I hope it's not as bad. Or like they better find the right Lilo, use the right graphics to make Stitch. Like, I'm just so hesitant about it. I'm just like, well, that's my child. That's my baby.
And Disney's going to print money because that's what they do. Now, what's a film, Kristin, that you love that you think would surprise people that you love it?
Oh, okay. This is one that I often used to get, but now it's more loved by audiences. Mm-hmm. When Denis Villeneuve, who I'm also a very huge fan of, released Prisoners. Oh my God. That was a film I was dying to see in theaters because I love Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, and I love Hugh Jackman. Two of my favorite people in one movie, and about a thriller about missing children. I'm on board. So I remember seeing that with my dad, and I was talking to so many people who had seen it. And then when it came out like on Blu-ray, I remember picking it up and I showed it to like so many of my friends. I showed it to some like my aunts and everything like that. Everybody loved it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, now it's, you know, with internet culture, everybody's obsessed with Denis Villeneuve, given what he can make and with the craft, the cinematography, everything is immersive now. I mean, look at what he did with Blade Runner 2049. There's a film account for that, you know. So it's like that. And I think surprises people. I think the one film that I really liked last year was Miranda July's Kajillionaire. I think
weird movie.
It's a weird film. It's very strange. And, you know, it's like that Zooey Deschanel character where it's weird and quirky, but it's a great film. Mm-hmm. So I think now, like, you know, as time will go on, I think people will be, like, I'm going to show it to people obviously and be like, this is a really great movie. Just check it out.
I'm in the like I got a screener of it and I watched it and I'm sitting there like I don't know how much I like this. And then the months pass and the months pass. I'm like, why am I still thinking about Kajillionaire? And I'm like, why do I want to watch this so much again? It's like that kind of like it took a little while to like settle.
Appreciate it.
And I'm just like, that was great.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like it's such a weird and quirky and offbeat kind of film.
Oh yeah.
But everybody in it's so committed. Like Evan Rachel Wood is just 100% in on that movie, and I love Richard Jenkins.
Oh yeah.
Basically anything he does, I absolutely love it. Whether he's, I wanted to be a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Step Brothers, and like the Kajillionaire was just such an interesting experience. And getting back to Prisoners, my God, that movie. Every time, like I remember watching that for the first time, being blown away. I'm just like, and having been such a like, I love the X-Men, love Wolverine,
Yeah.
and seeing Hugh Jackman scarier in that
Oh yeah.
any of the Wolverine roles he did. I'm just like, he was so intense, and those scenes where he's trying to intimidate Paul Dano scared the crap out of me. I'm just,
yeah.
I'm sitting perfectly safe in my apartment, just being like, I can't handle this right now.
Yeah.
And Jake Gyllenhaal is one of the best actors around.
Oh yeah, he's like, going back to like the previous question, like who's one of your favorite actors and actresses? Love Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, oh my gosh, love him. That's one film I'll go see him in anything in. So knowing what he did there, I was just so annoyed he wasn't nominated for a nomination for an Oscar or anything. Like, that just was like, oh dang, this movie had all the perfect elements to like what a lot of Oscar people like, and to see it not get it nominated, I was like, what?
Got nothing. Why didn't this get nominated?
I had like 2 nominations, and I just remember writing on Facebook, I was like, yeah, I got this one, got this nominations. Like, I was so happy. Then I wrote Prisoners, and I wrote like a little frowny face, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still like,
because like everything about that film just works perfectly.
Oh yeah.
And, going all the way back with Jake Gyllenhaal's career, all the way back to Bubble Boy.
Mm-hmm. Gotta love Bubble Boy.
Watching that as a kid and just thinking like, oh my God, look where Jake Gyllenhaal's gone now. And he is really so like, it's interesting thinking about, because it's like you have awards appreciation and then you have internet movie community appreciation, because he asked them, Jake Gyllenhaal's like one of the greatest actors of all time.
Yeah.
He asked the Oscars and it's just like, where's Jake Gyllenhaal?
Where's his Oscar?
Where it's like, where's his nomination? Like Nightcrawler didn't even get nominated.
Yeah, that was really depressing. That's another film I absolutely love.
Unnerving from start to finish. Now, Kristin, my last question for you is, what do you love most about movies?
Oh gosh, this is probably why, because I have a career in film. The fact that I can go on to these new stories and meet new people, and that I can get away from my own life for like about 2 or 3 hours and, watch somebody else's problems be unfolded and then magically fixed, or maybe somewhat fixed. They're not always fixed, but, solved in like those 2 to 3 hours. It's great. And I just love where it's like, so picturesque, and could be fun. It could be depressing. It could be scary. It's got like, my interests in unique ways. And I love film. I always love film, and I always love hearing different people's stories. I love to be taken on journeys. I love just about anything about film related to it. So
I appreciate your answer, because I feel the same in many ways about that. And there's nothing quite, because like, and it's interesting because you brought up, because like you like to do art. Is that one of your paintings?
No, this is actually my friend's. She painted it for my mom. I haven't done artwork in a while though. I used to, but no.
Because it's so interesting, because there's so many art forms. Film is so unique because it works on so many different levels, whether it's you're watching it, you're hearing it, you're feeling it,
Yeah.
and just having all those experiences. Now, our last part of Lost in the Wasteland is my guest gets to ask me a question.
Yes.
So, Kristin, what is your question?
I guess what film has impacted your life and, got you into reviewing movies and writing about them? So, what film? And it could be any film, it could be multiple films. I love having people have multiple favorites.
That's interesting because I'm going to tell a bit of a story then. So working backwards, the first film that I reviewed on my YouTube channel was Sausage Party.
Oh my gosh.
And because I started my channel in August of 2016, and I'm going to pull the trigger. I went to go see that with a bunch of my friends. I'm like, I'm going to make this. On my webcam, had no lighting in my room. It's really funny looking at that video now. And that was the first film that I reviewed on my channel. The first film I reviewed because it was very end of 2015, beginning of 2016, I made a Facebook page and I would write reviews on it.
Okay.
And The Big Short was the first one that I typed out a review for.
Oh, that's such a great movie though.
It is. And I'm just like, Adam McKay, the guy who made Step Brothers and the other guys, and Talladega Nights and Anchorman made this. But I'm trying to think. There's a point, because I always enjoyed watching movies as a kid. November was the greatest. It's my birthday month, and it was also Bond month. And I would watch Bond movies all the time as a kid. And like I mentioned, I watched The Godfather when I was 10 years old and have all these memories. But I feel like the moment that I became a cinephile was when I went to college.
Okay.
I took a cinema class in high school, and that kind of brought in my perspective on movies. But it was really going off to college, and the two biggest impacts on me, probably film-wise, was one when I watched The Big Lebowski for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
One of my friends, James Parrish, who lived right across the hallway from me my freshman year at Rider, turned me on to the Coen brothers, and I bought The Big Lebowski, and he watched it with me, and I'm just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like everything. And the Coens are my favorite filmmakers now, and it's just like, I can't describe another filmmaker where my sense of humor and my the vibe of it just met so well with me. And I love the Coens. If Coens release anything, I'm gonna watch it. I even own Lady Killers. I still laugh.
Why not?
No, it's not the best movie.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that kind of inspired me to think about what if I did something with movies was Mad Max.
I love Mad Max.
Which
that's one of my favorite movies of all time.
There's a reason why stage name, that's not right. Why my movie reviewing persona is the Wasteland reviewer, and it's because of Mad Max.
That makes sense now.
And I remember watching the first Mad Max movie on Encore when I was in college, because we used to have randomly the premium channels every so often, and they played that and they played The Road Warrior. And when I watched The Road Warrior for the first time, I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah.
And it sparked an idea in my head of a movie, and which became a series, which I eventually wrote down, which are just sitting on my computer. But inspired me to actually think about movie ideas and type out scripts. And I feel like that's when, because I feel like for most of us that do actively participate in film in some shape or form, there was a moment where you turn from just enjoying movies to being somebody who loves movies and wants to do something with it. And I feel like watching The Road Warrior for the first time was definitely one of those moments.
That's really cool. Mad Max Fury Road is probably one of my favorite movies, and I love George Miller. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen with the Anya Taylor-Joy prequel. I'm so excited for that.
One of the most irrationally angry moments of my life was when they announced Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu as the winner of Best Director for the 2015 film Oscars, and not George Miller. And I was
Oh
sitting
yeah.
there just like,
What he did with that film, when that whole action like of that film is so intense and thrilling. Like I remember seeing that in theaters and just like being like, what am I watching? This is so cool. This is so entertaining.
my insides were shaking in that theater. And by the end, I was just like, because it legitimately is a 2-hour adrenaline rush. And what George Miller, like, he made that work
Oh yeah.
every moment. And the fact that of all movies won six Oscars
Mm-hmm.
and should have won more, but I'll digress.
Yeah.
That Oscar night is one of the most frustrating nights for me, like, ever, because I was sitting there, I'm like, when Spotlight won Best Picture, I'm just like,
Oh yeah.
oh, like, I would have taken The Revenant. I'm just like, you picked the safest movie possible. And not gonna lie, think about in like 20 years, what movie's gonna be remembered? Spotlight or Mad Max
Yeah.
Fury Road? Fury Road.
Oh yeah.
But so yeah, so I guess that's a little story into what launched me on this path of doing this.
That's really cool though. I like that how that all makes sense now because I was like, why do you call yourself the Wasteland Reviewer? And now I know why. So very cool.
And like, I own a leather jacket and leather boots and stuff like that, and I've dressed up for as Max for Halloween, as a cosplay at a convention and stuff
Okay.
like that. I even had his main Force Patrol ID badge.
That's cool.
My brother bought me at a convention. My brother's the one who got me into going to conventions.
Okay.
Obviously not going to any now because, like, my God, you wouldn't even want to go to a convention. Like,
No, unless it's online nowadays, because I
convention
get like
life.
emails for like Galaxy Con or something like that. They're like, meet these celebrities. But I'm like, it's not the same as if you go in person. I'd never really been to a convention. I've only been to one, but it wasn't film related.
Going to a convention is hazardous for your health to begin with
Yeah.
because of the level of like BO and just grossness of it, let alone during COVID. So
Oh yeah.
it wouldn't be the smartest idea. But I would love to. One of my dreams is go to CinemaCon. That would be the coolest
That's like the
thing.
ultimate, I think, film goal of my career. So
Between that and when they actually open the Academy Awards Museum, I'm like,
that's also that was supposed to happen too, like this year or last year. And now it's like,
thanks,
well,
thanks 2020. We will not miss you. But that's an interesting thing. We all come from different perspectives on movies, and that's why I love this show. And
yeah.
it was a pleasure having you on here, Kristin.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. I hope I can come on again. We need to do some Oscar talk, I believe. So much with award season coming up. I'm just like ready to talk all about it because I think my family's sick of me talking about it with them. They're like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just like, yeah, but this is nominated. Like now's the time where I get my parents and my boyfriend strapped in a seat and be like, all right, we're watching this tonight.
And I'm going to allow you to shamelessly plug one last time before we wrap things up.
Okay, good. Shamelessly plug one last time. So you guys can follow me on Instagram at Miss Filmingo. You can follow me on Twitter at KFilmingo, and then you can catch me on the MacMovieReviews podcast. And I hope we can have you on in the future. We said we are going to have you on, so be prepared. Be prepared. So
be prepared for a random appearance. So now, thank you, Kristin, for coming on, and thank all of you for tuning in and always supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.